Good morning, everyone. I thought I would give you an update on the tracker and the weather, just to tell you everything that's going on again. There's a bit of interest in Jean-Luc and Mark, obviously, but also everything else that's going on with the rest of the fleet. So coming right back here to Tapio, he's actually right underneath or right on top of where Susie unfortunately lost her boat. So he's hiding. But not making a lot of progress right now, only doing 0.3 of a knot in this calm. There's still around about, well, let's have a look at the, so you can see there's no wind there. I'll just boost this up a bit and we'll come down and look at the waves. It looks like it's about, okay, that's about 2 to 3 metre swell, but there'll be very little waves on that swell. So it'll be just a rolling glassy swell sort of thing because the wind dropped off some time ago. So hopefully Tapio's getting tempted to go for a swim again, but we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, he's going to be in this calm for a little bit of time. We gave him that weather alert yesterday to get north as quick as he can, and he made some good progress north because there is a bit of a blow coming in a couple of days. And if we extend this forward, the good news about the blow is that it's going to go a little bit south of him. So he's still got no wind in the next 12, 18 hours. But then when it comes in, it's going to come in from the north. You can see that. In fact, I'll just click it through slowly but surely every 3 hours. So now he's got a northeasterly, which is going to, he'll probably head out to a little bit south of east here. And then that's going to slowly increase, which will push him down a little bit. You can see it's going down a little bit. This is the center of the low coming through here. Oh no, this is a false one. So you can see it's starting to build. By that stage, he's going to be over here somewhere. But the good news is that when it really intensifies, it's not moving very fast. Hopefully, he will have made a little bit more north by then. You know, because as he comes in, I failed to let you know. You can see what happens here. The wind will actually come around to the northwest. When he's got that, it'll be coming in from the northwest. Just going backwards here, it'll be 30 knots or so. So when it's there, see it transitions from north-northwest, it goes to a westerly. When it's westerly, he'll still be able to then come out to the north a little bit. He'll be able to, when it's westerly, he'll be coming out northeast and get above it. So as this system forms up and intensifies, and you know, there's 60, 70 knots in here, comes through, he should be on the top edge of it. So we're leaving the alert there. We'll give him another weather update later today. He needs to still sail safe and make northing as he can, and he should miss this one coming through. So at this stage, I'm not too concerned about that. He should be just out of the big, you know, the serious wind and wave, and he's still going to get 45, 50 knots when it comes through, but let's wait and see what happens. It's still a couple of days ahead. That's 2.5 days ahead, so the positioning could change. It could get worse, could get better, could go north and south on the way through. We'll just have to wait and see. So so for now, Tapio's looking okay. So we'll come back here to Istvan and Uku. This was quite interesting because last night, well, you can see the weather there. Istvan's got a fair bit of breeze, but I thought it was going to be in the vicinity of sort of 35s to 40s, and I sent him a message to say, okay, hang in there. The main storm, the centre of this, the heavier winds has gone south, and he's not going to be affected, and later today he'll drop back to 30 knots, and he came back and said, oh, that's good to know, but right now he's in 55 knots, and he's down to storm jib and trysail. So he's had a windy night, and now he's making 3.3 knots, so but he has been maintaining this generally northeasterly course, so that's where he wants to go anyway, and it keeps him away from this little system that was forming down below him. It has broken apart, it's gone down, so it didn't look too bad, and he'll very quickly be into you know, reasonable sailing conditions. The wind's coming from the right direction. He's going to have here's a day away. You know, it's all generally going in the right direction. Very unstable though. It's not being controlled by any one big system, but certainly for the next couple of days, Istvan's going to have some contrasting, changing weather, you know, up and down, changing sails, all that sort of stuff, but no big winds for a while. This one's going to come through, and then after a day or so, he's going to get a big kick. He'll get a big shift of breeze. That's not a bad direction, you know, and he'll make some good time. So Istvan's looking reasonably good. I forgot to mention Tapio caught caught some more water, and he found 200 litres of water, salt water, in the bow of his boat again. So he's still got that frustrating leak. So Uku right now, as we mentioned yesterday, is on the top of this this system, this low pressure system, giving him a reasonably good breeze. He's making 6.5 knots. He'll be very happy about that. And as we go forward, it's moving away. You can see he's still got favourable wind direction, but it's going to go light. So he's got he'll be around here. Then it's going to come around to the east, so he'll go north. And then slowly but surely, a lot of instability for him. And you'll probably remember when Mark and Jean-Luc were in this area, they had something similar. So there's going to be a day or so of frustration, when he's up here. He's got to get through this band. You either get headwinds or no winds by the look of it. But certainly he's getting less and less exposed to the bigger winds. But you can see some big holes there. So it's going to be slow progress for Uku. We're hoping that he arrives about a month after the leaders when they get into Les Sables d'Olonne. But we'll have to wait and see. And then not very far away, he's got the what would be the traditional trade wind belt here. You remember that one, but it's gone light as well. So there seems to be some seasonal changes going on here, that's that's pretty normal, I suppose. So now for the main game, let's look at Mark and Jean-Luc. I'll just focus in on here. Jean-Luc is absolutely stuck in this huge hole. He's only making 0.4 of a knot at the moment, and he doesn't need to cut his hair because he'll be pulling his hair out by the roots right now. This is excruciatingly frustrating for Jean-Luc. As a sailor, it's always like that when you have no wind, but knowing that Mark is boring up behind at 5.3 knots is even worse. So Mark is still doing well in these trades. The trades have, well, right now they've even come a bit further down. They're down right on the 20 degree north line. They've been there since the 3rd of, or there's been no wind now. This general air trades has stopped from about the 3rd of January, so that's nearly 6 days, nearly a week now. Just been sitting there, and not much more you can say. Mark, we spoke to him yesterday. He's pretty happy driving hard, pushing the boat, and doing these consistent speeds, and that's likely to hold for some time. Jean-Luc is trying to grab every bit of breeze he can. Wouldn't be getting much sleep, even during the night. He'd be listening and watching, and then hand steering, because wind vanes don't like just drifting along in light winds. You just can't do it. If you're sailing at 1.5 knots and you want to get the best out of it, you've got to hand steer. So that's it. But so what's going to happen in the future? Oh, and also, if we look at the leaderboard now, it's getting very tight, because remembering that the leaderboard talks about distance to the finish. So if you look at distance to the finish, there's only about 300 miles separating them. And hopefully most of you have seen how that distance to the finish line works. But just as a quick, hang on, not that one. We want this one here. This is this red course line here is sort of like the rum line to the finish, you might say. And they take a calculation to different nodes, so it might be from Mark up to this one here, and Jean-Luc up to that one there, and then it's measured along this red line. So it is very relevant, and as we get closer to the finish line, following the distance to the finish is very important. But so too, if you know that the boats are going in the same direction, and generally speaking, I believe at this stage now, I didn't really ask Mark whether he's going to try and go up on the eastern side of the Azores or the west, but by the look of it, I'd say he's going to cover Jean-Luc, do the same thing, and get up into here. So this is the critical zone where you transition from the trades into these new weather patterns. And Mark's entire objective would be to stay in touch with Jean-Luc to get into the same weather system. If he can get into the same weather system by the time they're up here, then it's a boat race. It simply means that it's boat speed, boat for boat. But if Jean-Luc gets up here first and makes a break and gets far enough away from Mark's slats, he might be a weather system apart, and that makes it really challenging for Mark to catch up. So let's see what's going to happen in the next few days. I'll punch these through every 3 hours, so you can see, or you can watch both boats. You can forget about Mark. He's got trade winds for the next few days. They're holding there, and Jean-Luc by this time tomorrow will start to get breeze. So you've got basically you've got one more day of Jean-Luc with frustrating light stuff. It's coming in from I'll just see if I can pick this up one more size. Okay, so you got Mark down the bottom there. and you can see he's finally got a bit of breeze there, and so he'll be sailing on that. And what I should say, I'll give you the distance, even though it's only 300 miles apart. If you go a distance to the finish, boat for boat, if we put that on the bow of Jean-Luc and we put that there, it's about 519 miles. Now that's a good 3 and a bit days of sailing. You know, maybe it's not 4 days, but it's certain, or maybe 4 days. Between, say, 3.5 days. If Jean-Luc was to stop still, 3.5 days later, Mark would be up to him. That's not going to happen. Jean-Luc will start to make slow passage north again. And just by looking at that, so you've got 1 day away, he's got a bit of breeze coming in, and then it's slowly starting to fill in. Okay, there's another 6 hours, but look what's happening here. The calm zone is starting to disappear. So this is a day and a half later. Day and a half later, Mark Slats is here, and Jean-Luc is now sailing away, which is kind of nice. He'll be happy with that. So then if we forget Mark Slats for a minute, because you know he's got trade winds right there, Jean-Luc comes in, so this is a day and a half away. Definitely the breeze is filled in for Jean-Luc, so he'll be coming across here, holding a little bit high. And Mark Slats, no calm zone. So the low wind area that was holding up Jean-Luc for nearly 5 days or so has disappeared, and Mark is going to sail straight through. So where's that leave the game? If we come back here and see what the objectives might be. So Mark's going to carry on in his sort of 5 knot averages and so on. Jean-Luc's finally going to get going, and then Jean-Luc will make the decision on where he goes up here. And this is headwinds. He's going to hold up, across this way, and then what's going to happen from there? And we can push this right the way through. It all depends on the center of this. What have we got? That's normally it's a high pressure system. Okay, so where the center goes. So Jean-Luc would be in here somewhere, still going up, and he's going to try and get on this side of it at that stage because he doesn't want these headwinds. So they might be over here. He might be coming over here somewhere, and then this is all moving across. So if we go one step smaller. You can see, okay, Jean-Luc's here. By this stage, this is nearly 3 days away. He's starting to come over here still, and I reckon that Mark will be about 2 days behind him. But effectively, what I'm trying to get to is it looks like they're going to get into the same weather system, and that's going to be the next challenge for Mark and the next challenge for Jean-Luc. You've got the whole thing turns into a ridge. You get, and it's evening out at that point. So there'll be a bit of confusion. They can go north on that. So his course might start to head round traditional route around towards the Azores. We're now coming forward. This is the 13th. It's still got this easterly wind. They can go north on the easterly wind. It'll be a boat race. The good news is it's on the starboard side for Jean-Luc. That's his strong mast side, if you can say anything about that. So Jean-Luc should be driving as much as he cares to. He knows he's still got to look after the rig. Mark Slats will be going hell for leather and trying to tail Jean-Luc. So it's not over yet. This is the 13th. Let's just put it through. Jean-Luc still, we should be in the lead by this stage. Who knows? Anything can happen to either boat. And it'll be a case of it may be that Mark is still down here a little bit and Jean-Luc's up here a little bit, so he may get a break then. Jean-Luc might get easterlies, Mark might get northeasterlies, which could slow him up. So still plenty of challenges ahead. But generally this high pressure system here is doing exactly what it normally does this time of the year. Here's the finish over here at Les Sables d'Olonne, and you can see that they want to come up the back of this and roll over the top, but it's still too early because the 14th they're still a long way from the finish. So so generally speaking, wow, it's getting tight. Jean-Luc's still got a day of frustrations. Mark Slats is 3 days away effectively, following on from his course. And so I would expect to see by the time Jean-Luc gets going, Mark Slats is going to be 2 days sail behind, which is still a big challenge because Jean-Luc should get back into the game again with breeze and start racing again and so on. So hell of a race. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you again soon.